How you do, cousins? It's Rusty. I'm back with a little video to talk about some stuff that we've got in here that we're selling. Hopefully we can give a little bit of information that might help you. Maybe you could add a comment that could help other people. We got all kinds of stuff today. Jewelry, we got tools, we got postcards, and all kinds of other stuff, marbles, and just the typical stuff that we come across. So if you like this kind of thing, whether you do it full-time, part-time, maybe you're just curious about it, folks, come on in here. We're all cousins. We're just going to learn together and try to make a buck or two. Let's get started. I just got back from a thrift store that I go to from time to time, and I bought they had four of these out. They've never sold jewelry in bags before, individually bagged and stuff. And so I took a risk here. It's going to be, I paid $80, 20, 40, 60, 80. I just weighed it. It weighs right between 18 and 19 pounds for jewelry. And so my plan is to sort through here, pick out the stuff that I think would be worth selling individually or even in very small lots, and then selling the rest of it as is. In fact, I'm going to photograph it like it is. I'm not going to take all the stuff out. I'm just going to take a photo basically of each bag on either side, like this and like that, okay? And then I'll 2, 4, 6, 8 photos, probably 1 or 2 photos of all of it together, 10 photos, 18 pounds of jewelry, and just try to sell that, okay? Make my money back at least on the $80 I spent, right? At least, and then try to make some money from what's in here. I don't know if there will be anything in here we're selling individually, but that's part of the fun of it, right? So I'm going to get into this. As I'm working through, if I find something interesting, I'll try to show you, and then we'll just get on, and then I'll give you an idea of whether or not I think it was a good play, a good buy or not. All right, bag number 1 has been sorted, and this is what I pulled out from here. Not a ton, but I did get a few things. Each of these pairs of earrings right here, that pair, and this pair. So 1, 2, 3, those are all made out of sterling silver, okay? It's kind of hard to see, but on the edge here, let me pull it up here. I don't know if it's going to zoom in or not, but basically, come on now. There we go. Right here, there's a stamp. The 925 stamp is on the side right there, and it's like that on the rest of these as well. So, we do have some sterling silver. This is a nice pair of earrings, vintage earrings, okay? All the faux pearls and rhinestones are intact. And this is a vintage crown trifari set of earrings. So that's nice. Those will sell individually. And then this right here is a newer set, earrings and a necklace. And as you see up here from this, the hang tag at the top, it says trifari. Now this is not crown trifari. This is not vintage. This is a newer set. And I've actually not had a lot of experience trying to sell newer trifari jewelry, but we'll see. So my guess is I've got like one. I'll probably sell these 3 in a set of sterling earrings, and then this set. So 1, 2, 3 different listings that I can do individually from that bag, plus what I'll get from that. Let's get into the next one. Bag number 2 rather, finished, and a little bit less this time, but still found a couple things. Sterling silver earrings, and then this necklace right here is another one of these newer trifari ones. It's made to look like moonstone there, and you can see the hang tag right here, and it says trifari. So probably make a listing with this newer one and the other one, so people can get a gold colored one and a silver colored one. And then I'll add these to the silver mix, and we'll get into bag number 3. All right, getting a little better. This is what I pulled out, and I'm sorry for the background, but look at this. We've almost filled up the box so far. That's 3 bags, and now we got the 4th here we'll get to. This is what I picked out. We're getting a little bit better here. Okay, so first off, we got these earrings. Oop, I just dropped it. I'm going to show you these. Just because of the way that they are kind of made, kind of put together, I had an inkling at first that they might be nicer. You can kind of see, these have actual, they may be glass or rhinestones, but I think that they are just, you know, semi-precious, not terribly precious, genuine gemstones. We've got some light colored amethyst here. I think we've got some citrine and some peridot. But if you turn it over, right here, right where my thumbnail is at, see if you can see that. There's the mark right there, the stamp right in the center there, the 925 stamp. So that's sterling silver. These I've not tested yet, but they don't have a mark on the back of them. These look like either older pieces that came from places like possibly stuff that would have been marked Saigon, could be Thailand, could be Nepal. But I believe these are artisan made. I believe these are from overseas. They're sterling silver. They're not marked, but I'm almost certain by the way that they tarnish and look. Then we got this set, which is really nice, kind of this like pearl color here. Nice prong setting. And on the back, it has a brand name called Whiting and Davis. Whiting and Davis. And they're pretty well known, pretty well collected. A lot of their stuff can be gold plated as well, so that might be. Moving up here, these are kind of fun. You know, Christmas is right around the corner. I just grabbed these because I figured they might sell here in about a month. And when people start buying like jewelry and stuff, Christmas-oriented stuff. Right now, we're heavily into Halloween, of course. But we'll get there. We'll get to Christmas soon enough. And then these two pairs of earrings I wanted to highlight because on the caps on the end here, I was looking for a mark. And when I looked on the end here, I found this little mark. And it's an R with a big L and a little L. Same thing over here with these. These just look like regular silver hoops, but you turn them over and they're black, kind of onyx color on the inside. But then on the inside, again, if I can zoom in here, you can see that same stamp there in the bottom, RLL. That is a stamp for Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren. And so because these are, one's larger, one's smaller, one's silver, kind of silver and black, the other ones are tortoiseshell looking, they're the same brand. I'll probably sell these in a lot together. Somebody who likes this look or who collects vintage Ralph Lauren stuff will be interested. Now here's where it gets kind of really cool and exciting, and I'm going to try to put this up on my leg here so you can kind of see the contrast a little bit better. Are these four pieces that I pulled out. Just like this right here. Okay, so first off, we have this. This is a service pin, or actually it's made as like a medallion, like a pendant, right, for a necklace. And it looks like a Southwestern bell. That's the bell icon there. You got 3 stones that are this yellowish color. I'm not sure what those stones are. You flip it over. There is no indication of what the metal is. However, a lot of times these, depending on how many years, these might indicate 5 years or these might indicate 10. So this could be a 15 or this could be a 30-year service, you know, kind of award thing. A lot of times they're made out of gold or silver or they have diamonds or precious stones. These stones look like peridot based on the color. I'm going to do a scratch test on the outside, and then I'm also going to do a scratch test on this right here, the actual medallion on the top that has the bell on it, because my guess is that probably the top one, has gold content in it, okay? Then moving on, we got this, which is a cool little pin, and what you're looking at here, I don't know if I can get if I can zoom in very well for you. Doggone. Okay, here we go. Come on now. And boy, the light's terrible. But you can kind of see that that's a green stone. And you can see maybe some Greek emblems here. And this is, I think, it's either a, I think it's like it's a fraternal thing. It may be like it's from a college, I believe. Somebody who is in a sorority or a fraternity. It's got the most interesting little kind of backing here. Again, no indication of metal content, though I believe this is probably gold filled at the very least. And then it has a little green stone, which is probably an emerald or a synthetic emerald. And so that's a vintage piece. That's nice. This right here, this little piece is like a little angel. And it, again, is made as either a charm. It's fairly small, so it might be a charm or possibly a pendant. And on the back, it does say 585 Italy. So this is 14 karat gold. That's what I want to see. And then this, so nondescript, you might almost even just pitch it into the box, but you can see kind of it's not zooming real well, but you can see kind of that light color on the side of it, on the heart here. It has nothing here to attach anything to it, but right there on the side, when you zoom in, if you get your loop out and look at it, it says 14K. So this is also 14 karat solid gold. So we probably have somewhere in the range of 2 grams, 2 to 2.5 grams of 14 karat gold right here. 14 karat is probably, I don't know, I have to look it up per gram. But we're looking at, you know, maybe $50, $60, maybe more for these, just the gold. Remember, I paid $80 for everything. And then this might have gold, that as well. I'm excited about these items, folks. Very excited. Let's get into this last one and see what we might find. All right, well, we're done here. A few more fun things here. This right here is another one of these Trifari branded newer necklaces. This one right here is a newer Monet necklace. It's got the most interesting claw clasp here that has the name Monet right there on it. It's kind of cool. Down here we got some more sterling silver, a necklace and some earrings, a few pairs of other earrings here, another necklace and some earrings. All these are sterling silver, but here guys are the most exciting ones that came out of this bag here. I'm going to pull these up again for contrast so that you can see these. Let's start right here. Very cool. I guess these are just like clips of some kind. I'm not exactly sure. You can see the kind of amber color, big clear rhinestones. This clip on the back, but look what it says. Construction's really nice. It says Christian Dior by Kramer. And shoot, folks, looking up Christian Dior by Kramer, there's not a lot listed on eBay, but the ones that are listed are quite expensive, hundreds of dollars, believe it or not. So very, very cool. If I pry this up, you'll kind of see how this works. I guess it's kind of like a pin, like a brooch of some kind, but look at that construction. Definitely vintage. All of the stones are intact, so I am overjoyed about that. That's awesome. And then this, I've never come across one of these in person, certainly not in a mixed lot before. You can see this is essentially like a woman's hand, really long, skinny fingers here, enamel painted fingernails, wearing a ring with a rhinestone there, with a cuff bracelet that has these red baguette stones and one large stone on the top. Quite striking. It also is a clip or a type of a brooch. And if I pry this thing back, you'll see the construction here underneath. You can see the rivet there where they've attached what's made to look like both the ring and also the bracelet. But if we get down here and we zoom in, it says Coro Craft Sterling. So not only is this piece sterling silver and quite heavy at that, it's a vintage piece of Coro Craft. And if you look up Coro hand brooch, you're going to see these in the $200 to $300 range. And that is just so exciting. Now, I could clean this puppy up. You can see that there's some tarnishing on the hand here, just from age and probably poor storage. But both of these pieces alone, in fact, one of these pieces, when it sells, probably will make me all my money back. And again, I'm going to sell that. I'm going to try to sell that for $80, what I spent on it. I'm going to try to sell this and these individually. And then let's take another recap here. We've got this stuff I just pulled out of the last sterling silver here. Here was the Ralph Lauren stuff. Here's other newer and older Trifari stuff. That's the other pile of sterling silver. The Whiting and Davis, and then these 2 gold pieces, and then 2 question mark pieces, which still have standalone value even if they're not gold. Now, I didn't show you this. This didn't come in the bag or in the mixed lots, but I did buy this from the same place, and you can see I paid $15 for them because I usually can get $30 or more for these, especially when they're in nice condition. You can see these are old vintage, you know, spectacles. They got a really cool, this is all twisted up on this, this hang tag, but it's got a very nice ornate etched design on the nose bridge there. Also along the edge here, you can see a nice etched design. And probably, certainly underneath of the nose piece, it will indicate that it's 12 karat gold filled. And sometimes it will even do so on the inside of this piece. Yes, in fact, right here where my finger is, if it'll zoom in, you can barely see it. There it, yeah, thinking about it. Yes, it's going to say it's upside down here, folks. But let me see if I can read it for you. Or if I can even get it zoomed back in on it again, perhaps. We'll see what it says. Moving it. Yeah, so there you go. You know, it's a 1/20th or 1/10 12 karat gold filled, and it has some sort of a name on it, like a brand name or maybe someone's name. I'm not exactly sure. I've not seen that before, but really cool glasses, and it's cool to see them in their original case as well. Like I said, I'll probably get $30 out of that. That's not the best deal in the world. Sometimes I can get these as little as $5 to $8, and that's great. I get them every time because they're really cool, and because of the gold content, they always sell. Quick update here. This turned out it was in fact 14 karat yellow gold solid. This is what they call a Sigma Pi. Sigma, these are the Greek letters, Sigma and Pi. I knew what Pi was, I didn't remember Sigma. But that's a fraternity, okay? And this is not one of the old vintage ones that would have made out of solid gold. This is actually probably just gold plated. And my guess is that that is either some sort of inexpensive gemstone or maybe a synthetic emerald. Still cool though. And then this one is 10 karat gold. But here's a surprise, okay? So I don't know, I haven't tested this top part. It looks darker. It might be a different type of gold content. This silver part in the middle, I don't know if that is actually silver, okay? But these yellow stones, folks, they're yellow diamonds. And I have to say, this is the first time, if I can get some light here, this is the first time I've ever come across yellow diamonds. In all of my buying and selling, I've come across, clear diamonds and all kinds of other gemstones. We got several here at the warehouse, but never yellow diamonds. So that's kind of cool that they have three that are roughly the same color, and definitely the same shape. This is like a Bell, Southwestern Bell, something like that company. So my guess is this is probably 30 years because usually it's either in 5 or 10 year increments, and using diamonds over any other gemstone indicates like a higher value. Like, they put more value into the materials for the longer they've been there, the employee. So very cool. It's been a little while since we've done some of these fun segments, so let's do some right now. We're going to do 3 of them today. That's right. We're going to do this or that, which is where I show you 2 things and you tell me which one you think is more valuable, okay? We're going to do can you name it, which is where I show you an item and you tell me what you think it is, if you dare. And then we're going to do, what's the other one we're going to do? Oh, asking for a friend. That's where we take questions that some of our viewers have, and we try to answer those. So let's jump right into that. Break it up a little bit. Don't let me lose you. We got awesome stuff later on, too. Welcome back. How to Rusty How To. How you do? This or that. It's a game. Rusty How To. It's gonna be so much fun. All right, folks, a quick game of this or that. A couple of rounds here. First off, we've got this little photograph of this man with a little corncob pipe, and he's kind of dressed up a little bit. We'll flip her over. Nothing on the back, and as you can see, based on the size of my thumb, this thing is around 1.25 inches or so by around 2 inches. A little old black and white photograph. Or this bin of marbles. Look at all these marbles, folks. We got some shooters in here. We got some of these with old little spirals and stuff. But this is around 18 pounds of marbles of various kinds. So what do you think is more valuable? These marbles or this little old photograph? Well, if you guessed that this photograph was more valuable, you would be right. And let me tell you why. 2 reasons. Number 1, the marbles that I showed you right here in this bin are not super valuable or uncommon or particularly old marbles. These are made by machine, and there's gobs and gobs of them. Some of these shooters are a little bit nicer, but generally speaking, the marbles you see in here are kind of run-of-the-mill. Some of them are a little bit better than others, but why is this more valuable? Well, the reason is that this particular photograph is not just a photograph, it is a photo booth photograph. So back in the late 1920s, early 1930s is when photo booths became available to the public for use, but it was a way of automatically taking your own photograph. So any type of photograph that's old that was taken in a photo booth is on real photo paper. There's no editing. There's nothing that you can do to change the photo once it's made. And when you find unique or oddball, bizarre, strange photographs from this era, especially if they've been taken in a photo booth, you know there's a limited quantity and it's rare. Look at his little glasses. I have no idea what this was for, but this is the type of thing that could sell for over $100 by itself, especially if you get into a bidding war. I purchased this a number of years ago, and I spent over $50 for it back at that time. I had a project I was doing, and so I was collecting some of these older, bizarre ones. But I have not only this one, but another one, the same guy in color, believe it or not, same type of costume, which is also rare to come across 2 different color and black and white. If you come across old photo booth pictures, sometimes you find them in antique stores or thrift stores where and you know by the shape of it and the size, typically, and the look of it, if you've come across them. But be on the lookout for these, especially bizarre or strange ones, can sell for gobs and gobs of money. Now, it's a kind of a rabbit hole to go down to find what are actually valuable marbles. This is some that I've got here that I've collected. Some of these are clay marbles. Some of these are actually, they're all, other ones are glass. Some of these are kind of unique. You can tell they were handmade. Others of these have uranium glass in them. For example, let me show you this one. Okay, same jar. I'm going to show you this right here. If we click on, watch how this thing illuminates. Boom! If I rotate around, you see how these light up? They've got uranium in them, folks. Or they call them, actually they would call these more Vaseline glass marbles. But some of these other ones also fluoresce in here. You can see some of these I've saved for that specific purpose. Others are valuable simply because of the swirl. In fact, I meant to pull this one out here to show you too. Unfortunately, most of the nicer ones I have already sold. I don't have a ton right now, but ones that look more like this, that maybe they're not perfectly round, have some of this swirl in, or some of these right here. This is a larger one, and you'll see that condition is very unfortunate. These have been played with and loved by a kid, I'm sure, out there. But what you're looking at here are old German-made, handmade marbles. They're not going to be perfectly round. Oftentimes you're going to find what they call a ponto on there, which is where they broke it off after they made it. This is a good example. This is not a perfectly round marble. It's oblong. If you lay it, it could just lay flat, you see. But on both ends, right here, right there you can maybe see. And on the other side here, they've got these marks. Oh, will you please zoom in here for me? There you go. You can kind of see that rough area where that was broken off of the piece of glass that this was made at the end of. These little swirls on the inside, they have a particular look to them. These can be more valuable. Now, if I had a bucket full of 18 pounds of those type of marbles, shoot, I'd be in a really good spot. And these aren't the worst condition I've ever seen, but they're not that great. Some of these would do better, but definitely this is going to be a more valuable commodity if you were to find them at like an antique store. All right, round two, and I'm going to integrate something from earlier. I can't remember actually the order I'm going to do this in the video, but I talked about this ring in the video. It just came in. This is a 14 karat gold ring, dual tone, yellow gold and white gold. Okay, size 7. It's a decent size. And this little contraption right here. I'm going to let you see it. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I'm going to let you look at it. All right, so I'm going to give you a moment. This or that, which one is more valuable? This or that? All right, time is up. Well, if you guessed that this was more valuable, you are likely correct. First off, we're looking at a gold ring. It's not the most complicated thing in the world. It also features no precious gemstones, no diamonds, sapphires, rubies, or emeralds. So it is a beautiful ring. It is a nice size. So we're going to at least get, at the worst case scenario, we're going to get somewhere at 10 to 20% below spot value for this if we were to sell it to scrap. Today, 14 karat gold is somewhere around $36 a gram, and this weighs in at about 4.16 grams. Let's just call it 4 grams at $36. So you're looking at 72 and 72, $144. And if you look below that a little bit, I could sell this for scrap to a scrapper for probably $120. If someone liked the look of it, I could get as high as $100 at value, maybe even a little bit more. But I would say that we're going to max out at $160, $170 for that. Now, that could be different if this was like a James Avery brand or some sort of brand that people highly collect. But what is this, folks? Well, what you're looking at here is a vintage brass, what they call a travel icon triptych. This is a Russian Orthodox travel triptych. Now, what is that? This is a thing that would have been, it's small enough, you could put it right on a necklace and hang it around your neck if you wanted to, or around a cord. It folds up like this, but it's something that someone who, of the Russian Orthodox religion would take with them when they traveled. They would open it up, they'd set it up, maybe they'd use a candle or something, and they could look at this picture. A triptych is essentially a 3-part picture. And so what you have is this one opening here that it shows people, looks like maybe saints possibly. They've got little halos possibly around their heads. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So maybe this is the apostles on either side here, or it could be saints. And then you've got the Christ figure here in the center with other people kneeling down and around. And so this was made to represent specific stories and specific biblical characters, figures, and it was used as sort of a tool, so to speak, as a portion of a person's prayer regimen, or just something to have with them when they traveled. Pieces like this, similar to this, in brass around the size, are typically listed anywhere from $175 all the way up to $300, $350. And this is made of brass, but I have seen ones that are more intricate, more detailed, less crude, made out of both silver and gold, and sometimes they can even incorporate beautiful enamel paintings or gemstones as well. And those, of course, because of those more desirable components, can sell for gobs more than that, into the thousands of dollars. I found this at a thrift store. I paid $2 for it because they did not know what it was. And to be honest with you, I also did not know what it was at the time. But now that I've done research, I know. And that's what this video and our channel is about, is to try to help inform you of things. And also we learn from you. So even though you might think at first glance that a gold ring would be more desirable and bring more money, oftentimes, now you're going to be able to sell this quicker to more types of people. But someone who wants this kind of thing, who collects this kind of thing, or is religious and wants this as a preservation piece, could maybe spend more money than even that. Hope that helps. Can you name it? Can you name it? Can you name it? Or not? All right, can you name it? Turn this over. Do you know what this thing is? Well, it is a vintage hand tool. It is a grooved concrete trowel. So it's a masonry tool that you would use to smooth out, but you have a groove here for some sort of purposes with the concrete. It's a vintage hand tool. It's got a number on it. It does not have the manufacturer, but you can use this number to determine like maybe the size or the type it is. And you can use some things like Google Lens, if you don't know what something is, to determine and figure out what it is. So when I took a picture of it like this and put it on Google Lens, nothing. But when I turned it over and showed the grooves, I was very quickly able to find what it is. And you can even see the residue of the concrete that this was used on prior to it coming into my possession. All right, folks, can you name it? I'm going to give you a look here. See these? They're in these little baggies. Look at that, kind of glance at you a little bit. All right, now, if you said, well, Rusty, that's obvious. Those are feathers. Well, you're not wrong, folks. But the more important question is, what are these for? And the answer, folks, is these are made specifically for use in tying flies for fly fishing. So these are actually a product made for use in tying and using the colors and the different things to mimic or recreate the look of different insects and bugs that would naturally be in an environment around a body of water that fish commonly eat. So they would tie these flies and these insects to mirror or mimic natural bugs that are out there so that they could catch a fish. Why, I'm just asking for a friend. Okay, folks, now we're going to play asking for a friend. Okay, so some of these people, some of our cousins get on from time to time and they ask, hey, Peaches, hey, Rusty, what do you think about this? And so I'm just going to pull 2 or 3 that happened recently, and I'm going to try to answer them. So this one goes, hello, greetings from St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, hello, cousin. It's probably nice and toasty down there. Hope you're having some good time at the beach. Thanks for tuning in. Quick question. I have a postcard from 1818 with a red George Washington 2-cent stamp with an 1818 cancellation. Please tell me where I can get it verified. Well, that's very old, all right? 1818, super old. I'm wondering if maybe you mean 1918, but if it is 1818, in fact, that's a very old stamp. And when you say, can I get it verified, I don't know if you mean appraised or someone getting it, basically authenticating it and giving you documentation saying that it is, in fact, a real stamp, and that is a real cancellation. So my first recommendation to you would be to get on Facebook groups. So in the Facebook world, you can search in groups, and you'll find that people have created all of these groups for all of these different types of topics out there. It's people who are enthusiasts, collectors, or are interested in certain topics. Anything you can imagine. Star Wars. There's Star Wars groups. There's groups on antique paintings. There's groups on philately, stamps. There's on postcard collecting. Okay, I would maybe get on and find groups that are specifically talking about sharing and giving information on stamps and even postcards. I'd go both of those routes. Because it's free, number one. Number two, you're entering a world of people who are interested and have a large knowledge base in this area. And it will cost you nothing to begin with. I would take photos of it, close up, back up. I'd write a little description of the information you have and put it out there and just see what you get. And that's a great place to start. You might get some good information. I don't know if you're interested in selling or not, but people who might be interested in buying it could tell you maybe what it's worth or could give you guidance. And if they think it's worth you putting some money into it and going to a professional organization that will examine it under a microscope and do tests on it and make sure that it's authentic and would actually appraise it for you as well, they'll be able to give you guidance on that. That's where I go when I have things that I know what it is, but I'm not quite sure the value of it, or I don't know what it is at all. And I'm like, hey, please help me out. I do this with antique tools a lot. I'll find stuff that I've never seen before. I don't know what its purpose or its function was. And so that's where I would go. So good luck with that. I hope you find the answers you're looking for. All right. Next one comes from a viewer, a cousin out here, who was referencing a video we have about jewelry, and the title of the video is Small and Cheap Items That Sell for Huge Money. They asked, hey, were the stick pins marked with the carat information? So I had featured in that video some Victorian era vintage stick pins that had gold content and some semi-precious gemstones, and they're wanting to know if it was marked on those, and the answer is no, they were not marked. I took them, the ones that I suspected might have gold content. I did a scratch test here at the warehouse to determine if they had gold at all and what carat weight or what carat purity the gold was. And so I will say also, if you have an item, a stick pin or any other jewelry that is marked with to be silver or gold or platinum or any of these, palladium, I would always do a scratch test. Do not trust that it has a mark, because I've come across enough jewelry that is clearly marked 14K, 18K, and they have no gold content at all. Or they are gold plated, in which case it does have gold content, but it's such a minuscule amount that no one would buy it for the gold itself. That's just to give it that color on the outside. So those weren't marked. I had to do a little bit of work here to do with that investigation, but I'm so glad I did, because just because something isn't marked doesn't mean that it isn't made of gold or silver. There were purity standards that occurred in Europe and the United States at a certain time that required certain gold stamps and silver stamps to be placed. But if you happen to come across a piece of jewelry that was manufactured prior to those standards being enacted and required by law, it may not have a stamp because they weren't required to do it at that time. So there's all kinds of pieces, and I'm seeing stories all the time of people coming across stuff at estate sales, yard sales and stuff, and they come back and test it, and they'll have a very large piece of gold jewelry that is not marked, and it's because it turns out that it's 150 years old or something like that. So if you have any notion at all that it might be made of gold, make sure you have a scratch test or something, or just go into a local jewelry store or pawn shop or something and ask them if they will test it for you. I would indicate that you might be interested in selling it if it is worth gold and they can give you the right price. That way they, will feel like they're not just, killing time and getting nothing out of it. But a lot of times people are nice enough. It doesn't take long and they can test that for you. All right, this is another great question. The last one for today. Or maybe last one. This came on our video called, same video as before, Small and Cheap Items That Sell for Huge Money. And this was the question. They said, is it okay to put items on consignment in a consignment shop, post the item online elsewhere, and simply collect it from the consignment store once you personally sell it? Is this a common industry thing, or are you transparent with the store owners when you consign it? That's a really good question. My initial thought and response is there is no right or wrong answer to that question. Like there's a definitive, yes, it's okay, no, it's not okay. I think more what you may be asking is, would I do something like that, or would I do that? And so here's my answer. If I'm putting stuff into a consignment store and the consignment shop owner is the one that is pricing it, tagging it, putting it out, paying for space and locking the door at night so that nobody comes in and steals it. If they're doing work, I'm personally not going to be doing that scenario where I sell it elsewhere and come in and grab it from them, because part of what they're getting for their money is payback for the work that they've done for you to display it, to store it, and to do the work to get it out and ready to sell, and or pricing it for you. So in that scenario, no. I personally wouldn't do that. I don't know if that's an industry thing or not. But I'll tell you what I do is I cross-list things often. So I sell at an antique store locally. I sell on Facebook Marketplace. I sell on eBay and some online platforms. And I cross-list stuff all over the place. Meaning, if I get a piece of jewelry in, I will take a photograph of it. I will put it on Facebook Marketplace. I will use that same photograph or set of photographs. I'll make an eBay listing as a buy it now. And then later that week, I'm going to take it down to the antique store and put it in there because I price all of my stuff and I tag it, I put it in there, and I pay for that space for rent. So even if I sell nothing in that store, that antique store is still getting payment from me renting that space. And they also are doing no work for me. So in that scenario, if I sell something on eBay, I will come in that next day and I'll collect it. And they don't have a problem with me doing that. But if they were doing work for me, if there wasn't any money guaranteed to have the item there, then I wouldn't personally feel comfortable doing that. So I think it's just a feel thing. I think if you're considering that, I might recommend that you do have that conversation with them first so that there's no kind of potential bad situation that occurs later, that they wouldn't have wanted you doing that, and then they find out that you do. It's all about relationships, building rapport, and having good interactions with the people that you live around and you work with in your community. So it's not a bad idea to cross-list things. I do it all the time, but I just personally do it at places where they're going to get something out of me either way, and that kind of situation. So thanks for asking. That's a really cool question. All right, folks, I've got a bunch of these cards that just came in that I'm going to try to list for sale, and this is a game called Pokemon. And Pokemon has been around since around 1998, 1999, commercially available. And it is a card game that kiddos like to play and adults alike. And they have different creatures on them. And they also have different horsepowers up here. HP. So Pokemon, they've got creatures. They've got things called energy cards that you use. It gives these creatures the energy they need to go into battle in this game. And so you've also got trainer cards in case you need someone to come in and train your creature how to fight correctly. I got some of these. Now, they've been making these for years, folks. And I just wanted to say that some of these older ones, like the ones I have, at the bottom, at the very bottom in the front here, if you can see this, in very tiny script, it'll say the year the age this is made. And these say the name of the illustrator. They say 1995, 96, 98, and 99. So this is 1999. The Wizards of the Coast is the manufacturer. And so what we're looking at here is a creature called Charmander. Okay, he's got 50 horsepower, and so what you do is that you have a couple of people, maybe more, in their different phases and in different rounds, and you put down this card. And so, say for example, if I had, so here's one called Krabby, and then here's one called Tangela, and so I got a lot here, and then here's one called Cater Pie. And so let's say that I'm playing with Peaches or something. We're going to play some Pokemon together. And the point of the game, of course, is these creatures come together and they're revving up and they got these horsepowers, and you're going to use some basic math skills. And so let's say that Peaches pulled out a Cater Pie and he was revving up at 40 horsepower. And then you've got, and then I put down my Charmander and he's at 50. He or she is at 50 horsepower. Well, you take 50 and you subtract the 40, and that means this round I'm ahead by 10, right? And it's Pokemon, right? So the point is you're trying to get as many points to poke your opponent as possible. And in this case, this round, I would get to poke Peaches 10 times. So 50 minus 40, 10. And and what you're doing is you're going until the other person surrenders and says, I cannot be poked anymore. Mercy, I'm done. Now, I don't know for sure if, and maybe some of you can help me with this, if you're able to poke in the same spot. Like if I could poke Peaches, like in the rib cage, like right maybe underneath the here. 10 times real fast in the same spot. I feel like there's got to probably be a rule against that, because I feel like that's almost maybe cheating. I have to go back and look at the rules. But the point is, Pokemon is still, they still make these cards, and I'm telling you, it gets scary because some of these things have 400-500 horsepower. They're almost like souped up like Lamborghinis and stuff these days. These incredible powers, and so you really need to work on getting a nice deck, because if you come in with, say, a Horsia or an Omanti, and you're just dropping 40 horsepower with somebody who has 500 horsepower, son, you're probably going to lose that game pretty fast, because unless you're able to just, you know, have tons of pokes all at once, and I'm sure, you know, people train in the training rooms and in the gymnasiums and stuff to try to build up their skin so that they can handle pokes for longer, stay in the game, of course. Now, I don't do that, but all I wanted to say was this game exists, these cards are out there, and if you find ones that are older, folks, or certain kinds, they can actually sell for tons of money on eBay and even locally. So keep a lookout for these. This is what they look like on the back of most of them, and these older ones will have the older 1999, 2000, and they're even making them now in 2023. If you dare to go to battle in the game of Pokemon, just be prepared. Know that it can get very real very quickly. I just recently came across this large lot of vintage tools, and these are all made for the use of soldering. And what these are at the end here are large blocks of copper, essentially, with makeshift handles, various types of handles. You can see some of them are utilizing a screwdriver handle. Others are makeshift pieces of wood. Some of them are like kind of carved out. Others are not. We've got small ones like this that are nice and bright. If I can zoom in here on this puppy. Come on now. And some of them have like these, they have names, brand names on some of these. Others do not. You can see kind of the handle on that one. But I don't exactly know. Something to do with the copper, needing the copper for that with the soldering was useful. But there's 20 different pieces in here, if you can believe it. And sometimes these sell in the hundreds of dollars for a large antique lot like this. So sometimes people are just giving these away because they don't have a use for them anymore. And so, you know, it's heavy, so you got to make sure you don't get fleeced on the shipping cost. But there are people who still use these and also just collect them. Speaking of vintage tools, here's another lot that I have come across, and these are old hand crank screwdrivers, or auger. They call them braces a lot of times. But I got 3 different types here. They're all generally the same. We got different colored wooden handles. This one right here, if you were to zoom in, you'll see that this is a Stanley brand. All right. This one here, I'm not exactly sure of the this is 1.5 inch. This is an interesting type because you've got this little piece here that you can press in that'll open up to allow you to put the auger bit in or take it out. And then you've got this one, and this is probably the nicest of the 3. Well, just because of age. You can see also, well, I don't know if I can't remember where it says it, but this is also a Stanley brand. And the coolest part on this one, in my opinion, is this guard type thing here that does say Stanley. It screws in to hold it on, but you can put it anywhere up on this. It can slide around, and you can just set it for a certain depth, so you don't go beyond a particular type of depth. I could sell this component by itself separately if I wanted to, but I'm selling everything as a lot. This, as well as maybe 8 or 10 auger bits, various sizes. They're down in here. We've got some, actually, they're right there. You can see the top of them hanging out there. We've got some of those. That's going to go in a lot as well. Again, $150 to $200 probably for this lot, plus the bits. Still going through these tools. We got some Porter cable, some plunge routers here. This right here is a mini shear brake, 7.5 inch. Boy, it's got lots of sawdust in there. I got to clean that out. We got some sort of equipment in here. This is a Craftsman brand, and it's for surveying, I believe. That's that Stanley plane, the number 45. And then over here we got, he wrote Biscuit Jr. on this. This is a plate joiner, a DeWalt plate joiner. We got some dado saw blades in here and various other things. If I rotate over, we've got all kinds of various clamps and stuff over in here. Again, vintage tools, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just, they're all just kind of sitting on. They got some old some vices, clamps, various other things. Got an old wooden mallet here, which is kind of cool. But just gobs of these tools, folks. This gigantic saw. Look at this. Look at this puppy. Now that thing will get the job done. It's serious. That's nice. And we've also got, you can see I got this, I'm kind of, I was running out of space in this particular room in the warehouse, but nice old axe blades. I need to do some cleaning on that for sure. And then various other things, if I move this out. Some really cool old hammers, various little hammers. Some of these have brass ends to them. Some of these are lots of toys that haven't sold yet. But then I got other like, you know, nice old school looking hatchets here. Here's another one, different kind of shape and size. But that also, it's nice. You can kind of hammer on that side. You can chop on this side. Really nice. Got a, what is this right here? This is the Ace. This is a what they call a taps and dies. It's a set of taps and dies. Got some nice vintage tools here. I'm hoping that these sell quickly. Something funny that came in, someone purchased something from me locally with some cash, and this was in with some of the cash. Now, you know, it's just a $20 bill, Rusty, you might want to say, but if it may have been a while since you've seen an older, and this is from you can see right there, 1990 series, and the numbers are 12. So I don't know if that's the run or what that is, these 12s. You'll see different numbers, 2s, 4s, 1s, you know, 10s. This is a 12. And you might be surprised that these, because they're older and they've been pulling them out of circulation to put the new ones in that they're producing, these are harder and harder to come by. And so people will actually spend $24, $26 a piece on these to buy this. So it's currency. It's not unlike, I mean, it's a newer version of just like, say, coins, things that are not in circulation but may be made out of silver or gold, or just they're collectible, they're silver certificate, or they're signed by a certain person that's rare. So don't neglect to just pay attention to the change that's in your pocket that you get in. Sometimes you'll get coins with rare mint locations or dates or something like this. Just the other day, let's see, we'll pull a couple more of these out here. I've held on to them. Got this, okay, this quarter. It's one of these bicentennial. You've seen these before, I'm sure, but it's been a while. People will pay more than 25 cents for that piece. Then also, pull out one of these. You just don't come across, you know, silver dollars or half dollars all that often anymore, and people will pay a little bit more. Now, after you pay fees and shipping and stuff, like, is it worth it? Well, you know, on things like this, maybe not. Maybe even not on that. But I just wanted to use these as an example that when you come across stuff that is out of circulation, is not as common, look it up. Look it up in eBay search sale results, because you might be surprised, and then you might be able to turn something into money, just the money itself. It's a nice little ring that came in yesterday. At first glance, I thought, okay, this may be all silver, or it may be silver. Let me get some better light here. Or it may be silver with gold over it. But when I got out the loop and I looked on the inside, and you won't be able to tell most likely from, well, maybe. Let me see. Let me see if it'll actually focus on it in there. Yeah, you can see. It says 14K right there. There's no 925, so this is a solid 14 karat gold, and it's got a maker mark. I need to look up more closely and try to look up and see what it is. But this is a white and yellow gold combination, and you can see, if this doggone thing will focus, that the yellow gold portion has been like laid on there basically and soldered onto the top of that. A little bit messy. But this is like a designer ring. There's a certain brand in there I need to look at. But, you know, this is probably somewhere in the 4.5 gram range. And 14 karat gold is around $36 mark right now. So $120 some, $130 in scrap weight, but I might be able to get as much as $150 or even a little bit more, especially if I find out who the maker is and they're somewhat collectible. Something that I'm pretty excited about, I just picked up yesterday at an antique store. It had it listed for $15 and it just said old cigar cutter. And that's exactly what it is. It's made of wood. It has this gold kind of tone to it, and what you do is you hold it like this, you put the cigar at the end, and then you press that in, and it does a V cut on the end of a cigar. I bought it thinking, you know, I could probably sell that for $20 or $30, and you know what, I might even keep it for just, you know, special rare occasions. Someone's getting married, or they're having a baby or something, and there's a time to celebrate. I did a little bit of investigating on it, and I couldn't hardly find anything except I saw this, and it says, made in Western Germany. So I thought, well, that's a starting point. I can do some research. I started looking up stuff. I'm finding stuff for $50 and $60. So I'm thinking, good, I'm going to make, you know, $30, $35 maybe profit off of this. But when I did a little bit of further inspection, I was just trying to see if there was any sort of brand. And when I flipped it over to the other side of where I saw that, read that, I saw this. And when I just looked at it really close, I thought that these were scrape marks, because you can see that the gold plating has scraped off. But no, when I took a closer look, do you see what I see? Zoom in there, you puppy. Can you see? Oh, it's trying to go in and out. Come on. Doggone yous. Get in there. Yes. Dunhill. If you guys know anything about Tobacciana, pipes, cigars, and Tobacciana items, you'll know the name Dunhill. Dunhill's a very older, well-respected brand that made stuff in this genre, and I was just overjoyed. This is no longer a $40 or $50 piece. This is an over $100 piece, and there's not even a single one like it for sale that has sold or is for sale on eBay right now. There is one that's shorter. It's like half the length, and it sold for about $125. So this thing, I might be able to get $150 or more out of it. So something I thought maybe I'd keep now, probably got to sell. That's a good amount of money, but I was excited to come across that. Cousins, thank you so much for being here and doing this stuff along with us. It makes it more interesting. And we certainly learn a whole lot from you as well. So thanks for being a part of this community and being sort of distant cousins of ours. We got some new stuff coming out soon. Had to take a little trip, and so my brother and I, and so my brother has not been able to put out a What Sold video on the What Sold channel in a little while. It may be beginning of next week, but that is coming soon. We had sort of an emergency we had to take care of. But anyhow, good luck to you this week. Hope you find some cool treasures, or maybe you learn the values and things that you have. Hope you have a good time. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon. Let's go find some treasures. Rusty hair.